Hi, and welcome to the Expansive Podcast, a podcast that's all about helping you be more expansive in your business, in your life, in your relationships. My name is Erik. I'm one half of the Expansive Podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. John Sanei, sitting there in Dubai. John, how's things going, brother?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Very good. I like that. We started this call 45 minutes ago, alluding to the fact that we're gonna start a podcast recording, and we've just been chatting for 45 minutes offline, and that's such a great, I suppose, realization of the friendship that we have and connecting and sharing the deeper stuff that kind of evolves itself into the pod eventually because it's still raw. And so, yeah, we've been speaking about relationships a lot. I like that you brought that expansion into relationships a lot and the different attachment styles. And I think we should chat about that in general terms because I think a lot of people suffer from them without even knowing that they're suffering from them. Although attachment styles are becoming more and more popular, but yeah, Erik and I, just for everybody listening, Erik and I carry very different attachment styles. And so we were just talking about the different attachment styles that we carry. But yes, all good. Thank you. In Dubai, I was in Germany last week. Really enjoyed it. Found myself saying "Das ist gut," yeah, very often. I don't know why, but there I was. But yeah, back in Dubai, and summer is starting to approach, so it's starting to get hot again. So yeah, that's where we're at. How's everything in Cape Town? How you doing?
You were with so the event you spoke at was like a health expo type thing.
It was the largest health expo in the world called FIBO, 160,000 people. And it stands for fitness and bodybuilding, which is funny because many years ago, fitness and bodybuilding were the type of fitness. Today, the bodybuilding aspect of the show is like one little hall and actually moving away from bodybuilding because it really is not very healthy. But yeah, everything you can imagine from equipment to protein bars to different new workouts to I didn't even, I must have gotten to maybe 10% of the halls. I didn't even see all of it. It was so big, so vast. My friend Stuart was there. I didn't even see him. He was on the other side of the show. I couldn't even get there. So I spoke at the longevity event, the longevity hall, which was really amazing. There was a guy there called George who was the fitness coach for Michael Jordan at Chicago Bulls. And sure. With Dennis Rodman and Pippen, and he's friends with all of them. And he was also a fitness coach for Roger Federer. And now he heads up the fitness for a clinic called Chenot, CHENOT, which is a very well-known Swiss and Austrian-based health clinic. And so I'll be visiting him in Zurich, actually. I'm in Zurich, I think, in about a month's time. And so he's invited me to go and stay at the hotel and experience the hotel. So looking forward to that. But such amazing people around talking about longevity and hospitality and how it's growing. And so, yeah, I learned so much.
You posted a photo with a lady that was like super old and...
Yeah. She was, her name is Ella, and she's 96 years old. And she was there to be interviewed on longevity. And she's never taken one vitamin, and she's only ever been on antibiotics when she had her hips replaced, but she travels constantly. She just came off a cruise and she's on her way to do something else. And so they said to her, so Eva, what do you eat for breakfast? Nutella and toast. And what do you do at night when you go to bed? I have a glass of champagne, maybe two every night. And so she debunked every longevity scenario ever, like vitamins, schmittavins, like whatever. What do you want to do? I have a Nutella on toast. And we're like, what? Nutella on toast to start? 96, sprightly, energetic. What a fantastic lady. We had the best time with her. In fact, when I was on stage, I started off with, Eva's lucky she's not 40 years younger because then she'd be my girlfriend. As we had a bunch of little laughs with her, and she was fantastic. She was really the star of the show. Everybody loved her so much.
There's a show called Let's Feed Phil or like something like that. And there's this dude that goes around and he's a very sociable guy and he's traveling and he's eating at different places and all the best restaurants. And I was watching the last episode that they filmed, and he's filming with a samurai guy. This guy's also, I think, bordering 100 years old. And he's the only like samurai who's a tourist advisor. What do you call it?
Tour guide.
Tour guide. There we go. Thank you. He's the oldest samurai tour guide, like a very weird combination, somewhere in Kyoto.
Yeah.
And he said to him, well, what's your secret to longevity? And he said, I drink whiskey every night. And it's like, how much whiskey? And he said, well, in 1 year, I finished 110 bottles. 10 bottles. That's like a bottle every 3 days.
Yeah, it's a third of a bottle a night. He's not playing around. Yeah.
He's not playing around.
But it just shows you. It shows you. Yeah, it just shows you everything we think we know about longevity. But you know what she said actually when she was being interviewed? She said, what's your secret? Just be happy all the time. That was a secret. And she was laughing from the first day we met her all the way till I left. She was just laughing all the time, always smiling, always laughing. Then she told us stories about her in World War II. Then she told us stories, like she was telling us all these stories. And her mom was a very anti-Nazi journalist. And so they had to run away. And I mean, all these fantastic stories. I mean, imagine 96 years old, the amount of stories you have. So good.
I'd love to know
so good.
If they've ever done a study where it might be a difficult one to do, but where you would have someone who they eat the same diet and not necessarily the healthiest diet. So let's just call it like a very average diet. And then the only variable would be the amount of stress that you have in your life. And how does that affect longevity? Because I think that's probably one of the biggest things is that you could have the same diet, but someone who's extremely tightly wound.
Emotionally not well.
Yeah. Probably
that makes you sick.
Suffering more, yes.
Of course. I have no doubt they will, yeah. But also I'm picking up a pattern. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you know that blue zone that they always talk about?
Yes.
The number one thing they're always looking at is the diet, but also their lifestyle is so
friendships,
and,
community.
Yeah, and they walk and they,
Yeah. They see their friends every day. They were saying one of the most important things of staying healthier for longer is how many people you greet when you're walking down the street in your normal street. It's like, hello, how are you? What's happening? How are you doing? That level of connection to be seen and to be expected also keeps you mission-led and keeps you alive in many different ways. So also very interesting how relationships with yourself and people around you are really the longevity skill set, you know? But I also, I'm picking up a pattern because every time you speak about something you watch online is about a cooking show. So you keep watching cooking shows. Is that a house husband from Somerset West's skill set to watch cooking shows during the day? And you cook for Danica by the time she gets home.
That is just me being a really supportive husband. Because Danica...
By watching cooking shows.
Yeah.
So you just watch the cooking shows. So that's supportive.
So I watch them because, she watches them because she learns things and then she goes and cooks them.
I thought you were watching them on your own.
Supporting her hobby. No.
You are such a good husband. Jesus. I mean, you should write a book on good husbandry. Well done to you.
Listen, but I reap the rewards because, she cooks
the food,
restaurant grade food here at home.
Wow.
And I often forget how appreciative I should be of that. She'll put together like basic foods, but she'll elevate it because she'll just take care of it. She won't just put it in front of you. She'll think about the ratios and the balance of the it's incredible the amount of care that she takes. Her family is here now visiting, and so last night she puts together this like tapas style meal, but like quickly. She's throwing things together, but even in the throwing things together, she's so meticulous about the taste of it and like.
Some people have just got that. My friend Paul's the same. He just whipped something simple up, and I'm like, dude, this is one of the best meals I've ever had.
It's insane, yes.
Just like what? And then some people put together a whole. What are they called? Chimichurros. What are those things called where you have all the snacks on the plate? What is that?
Tapas. Isn't it tapas?
No, it's not tapas. It's maybe I'm butchering it here. But when you put like salami and cheese and olives and all those things onto one charcuterie. What did I say? Yeah. I don't even know what I said. Anyway, shows you where my skill sets lie. What's it called? Chimichurri.
Chimichurri is that sauce that goes over steak.
That's right. So what's it called? Chimichurri. What?
Charcuterie.
There we go. Some people, no points for anybody guessing how cuck mine are, obviously. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But some people can whip up anything and it looks like a piece of art. And you're like, dude, I can't even get my toast to look like that. I mean, the way you like present it and put it together, that's a very cool skill set to have, you know?
And you know where I picked it up the first time is that if I ever order takeaways, it'll arrive. I might add some salt to it, and then that's sort of it. Like Dan's, you know, if we order takeaway, she'll take that and then she'll add this and that, and she'll refry it, and then she'll, you know, she takes that and she completely elevates it, but almost by recooking the entire thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
what a skill!
No, what incredible skill, and I get to be the beneficiary of it. So I don't mind.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
Also,
you're
it's almost part of our nighttime routine as well, because it's just calming, you know. So it settles us at the end of the day is just to watch some cooking shows.
Do you sous chef? Do you prep and cook? I mean, do you prep and wash, or is she doing everything?
No, like sometimes.
Okay. And do you have somebody coming in to help you guys cleaning, or does she do that as well?
No.
You have somebody coming to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a
house
manager.
I mean, we were leaning towards some chauvinism happening here from the 70s, but we won't go there. So yes, very good.
All right.
At least you go out there and work and earn the money. Ooh, no, you don't. That's also her. Hang on a second. This is an amazing setup you have here. Your wife works, buys the Porsche. You stay home, play paddle, golf, and make videos and walk the dogs.
And
Erik, I want your life. I want your life, Erik. You've got it sorted. You should write a book about this. Forget about leadership. This is true leadership. Manipulating your way into a home where you don't pay, you don't cook, you don't wash.
It's not manipulating your way in. It's
inspiration.
Sincerely inserting yourself into the right relationship.
Into a luxurious. Wow, I love this setup. Danica, congratulations. Well done. I mean, somebody's got to carry the boat.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to carry the boat. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
I thought we were already talking about the topic. Is there another topic for us to talk about? Go ahead.
Yes, there are. I have two things that I wanted to share with you.
Go ahead.
All right. So the first one, and these are just two sort of findings. One is an article that I've been writing, but the first one is an article that I came across. Where they've kind of distilled what's most important from a leadership point of view by looking at how people lead AI agents. So
wow,
it's quite weird. Like this, it's comes from the Harvard University, and what they did is they had a big sample of people, like 300 people come in, and then they assigned them into groups, and they had leaders for each group. And they had them solve group puzzles. But what they would do is that you would, as a leader, you would have, you'd be assigned to a human team or to a team made up of AI agents. And then you would have 6 group puzzles that you have to solve with your human counterparts, and then 6 group puzzles that you have to solve with AI.
Wow.
So you did both.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting is that by the time they were done, the biggest thing they realized was that if you were good at leading AI agents, then you'd be good at leading human beings as well. So there was a direct correlation. It wasn't about the people that you are leading. It was purely about the leadership skills that you brought to the table.
Well, the clarity that you explained things, what you needed from them was even more clear. Like, I suppose agents need that level of clarity just like people do, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think what it shows us is that leadership isn't as much about your personality or about your charisma. Like, those things are important, but it's a lot more about how you facilitate groups. So leadership is not as much personality as it is a set of behaviors. And they've been able to identify those behaviors through this study. And it's not something that we didn't know before, but I think it's just very interesting how we are moving into this world where agentic involvement is going to become greater and greater in all of our businesses. And actually what you'll end up using, and we're still a bit away from that in this moment in time, but if you fast forward a bit, it's not inconceivable that your business is being run by multiple agents in your business.
Of course.
And they help you to solve problems. And you'll have a agent that's taking care of your marketing and your sales, something with your admin. And yes, at this moment in time, you might think of it as a workflow. I want you to do this, and there's a certain output. But over time, those will also need to come together and work together, and you'll still have problems that need solving in your business, and they can help you solve those problems, but only if you apply the right kind of leadership. So, and of course, humans aren't going away. So what's great about this is that the skill is universally applicable then across leadership for humans and agents.
Although, Erik, I mean, like to watch for emotional ups and downs from your agents is not there.
Yeah, that was interesting because it's something that was mentioned in the study, is that emotional perceptiveness is still an important skill. And obviously when it comes to AI agents, they don't have that emotional capacity.
Yeah.
But at some point in the future, they might have it. Yeah. And we know that they've been experimenting with it. But even when you control for that, it didn't matter. So even if you take that out of the equation, it doesn't make a difference in terms of your leadership style. So here are the skills that they found were most important, and there are 5 of them. So the first one, and this is actually the biggest overarching one, is that the best leaders weren't giving orders, they were asking more questions. So both in the human and AI groups, asking more questions correlated with better outcomes. So curiosity, not control. Number 2 was they encouraged conversational turn-taking. And this is something that we've actually seen a lot of in team development work, is that the best leaders are those who encourage people to have talk time, So they were good at getting people to share their viewpoints. And I think what makes this important to understand is that the problems they were trying to solve were problems that were constructed in such a way that each person on the team had a piece of information that we needed to know about. And so obviously, if people weren't taking turns in speaking and you had one person who was very quiet sitting in the corner, then you won't have all the information that you need. But of course, the leaders at the time didn't know that that's how it was structured. And so it's very easy to get into a conversation where one person dominates it, or the few smart people dominate it, and other people are quiet. So conversational turn-taking is actually, we encourage this in teams all the time because it also creates psychological safety.
It's so funny you say that because, this morning I was prompting AI and I want to discuss the level of understanding AI has of me now, and also the more fluid I'm becoming in those instructions and conversations. And I said to the AI this morning, to my ChatGPT, I said, this is what I want you to do. Ask me any clarifying questions. So it came back to me and I was like, okay, what do you mean by this or this? Now all of a sudden my prompts now have included, ask me any more clarifying questions. So it's exactly that. It's like, this is what I'm looking for. Ask me if I'm not making sense so that I can give you more instruction. So yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. So and just think about it, in a, like, moving a little bit into the future. So I was meeting with Yaku this morning. He was showing me this AI tool that he's been building now for a while. Essentially what will happen is that you'll have a canvas. So you'll have a board that you are working on. And let's say you are building out, can we talk about RoboHouse yet?
Yeah,
We've spoken about it on the pod. Yes. So let's say you're building out RoboHouse, and the idea is that you're putting together a marketing campaign and you want certain copy, you want certain images.
Yeah.
You might want to talk about different channels that you're going to publish it on. At this moment in time, those things might live in your head, or it might be sitting in a Word document or whatever. The idea that he has is that all of that information, like all the thumbnails and all the covers and all the text and copy, should be sitting on a board. So we can view it in one go, like on a big whiteboard, digital whiteboard. You are working on that whiteboard, but so is your designer and so is your copywriter. So everyone has overview of all the elements. But on top of that, you have AI agents that can interact with all of those different elements as well. And so you can imagine that at some point, what then needs to happen for that board is that for us to really solve it and to come up with the best possible campaign, is that we all need to be applying our best thinking, and therefore we all need to be prompted to think about it in different kind of ways. And the AI can then assist with that. Not only can it help to fine-tune it and make it better, but it can help us to think about it in different ways and see things that we might have been missing. But it's because it's all consolidated. It's like you really acting as a team with AI instead of just it prompting and giving an output based on that prompt.
Yeah, and man, it is getting so much better. And I was watching the Sam Altman interview at TED. Did you watch it?
I haven't yet.
You should watch it. You should watch it. It's very good. I mean, there's a lot of negative Nancys around, and he got very irritated by it because like all they focused on was the negatives of it or the possible negatives. But the truth is, dude, it is evolving my ability to be productive. I'm like an ad agency. I can pop things out left, right, and center. You saw the pictures I did for Rover House for the dogs. I mean, that was literally
beautiful.
1 minute on AI. I mean, it's like unbelievable. So I think the what you're talking about is so important for us to start to realize the evolving relationship that we are having with this incredibly intelligent being that's here to help us. Like for me, it's just here to help and it's here to engage and here to uplift. But that's just my experience. I mean, I imagine there's always bad actors everywhere, you know? Yeah.
So that's number 2, encourage conversational turn taking. Number 3 was they use inclusive language. So they would use things like we and us, you know, because it's a shared ownership. And then 4th was they showed emotional perceptiveness. But again, it's quite interesting that it was still significant in the AI test. So even though AI isn't necessarily emotional, it still kind of played into it. I'm not sure exactly how. Like I need to go and
can I just say
digging around that.
No. I think that your approach. I have a very good friend, Manish, and Manish has taught me something. He cleans up hotel rooms before he leaves, and I said to him, "Why?" He says, "Because I'm a custodian. I want to leave places better when nobody's watching." And I think when your approach is one of kindness and emotional intelligence, you have more fluidity in your decision-making process. You're more confident. I think maybe it's just that. And then obviously the AI is picking up on those small nuances and feeding back at the same level of tonality. But when you're kind, you are more fluid. If you're angry, it's most probably you're in a high beta brainwave. You're not even thinking properly. You're like triggered and angry about it, you know? So that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's even, you know, some people asking ChatGPT to do something and then saying thank you. You know, it's like
that's right.
Even just that small kind of approach that you have. All right, and then the last one was they didn't rely on volume. So the volume of communication is not associated with good leadership. In fact, verbosity, that's quite a good word. Verbosity without insight was a weak signal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
too much
makes total sense. Yeah, too much speaking, too much thinking that you have all the answers. And especially, this is probably why it works well. It's a great metaphor for the world that we live in. Literally, in your team, everyone has a piece of information that if you can piece all of that together, you get to solve complex problems. And that's always been a characteristic of complex problems, is that one person can't solve it on their own because they don't have all the information in order to be able to solve it. And so the best way to solve a complex problem is to bring together diverse perspectives, people who have pieces of the answer. And your job is to extract it from them. And the way that you extract it isn't by you speaking more, it's by you asking the right kind of questions, asking better questions, getting them to take turns in speaking up, making sure that everyone's voice is being heard, making sure that people feel that there's ownership, being emotionally attuned to what's happening in your team. And if you do that right, then you get to solve complex problems. You get to move forward. So it was a great study. I just thought it was a really interesting study that people's ability to lead AI agents correlates to their ability to lead human beings.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's so fantastic. I saw yesterday on TikTok, this guy was showing his company setup with agents. And he had a whole, what's it called when is it an organogram? When you get that company to show organogram. And he had an organogram of all his agents. He's like, you have agent supervisors, then you have agent managers, then you have agent workforce, and each one of these, and he showed it. It was like this whole setup with top-down management, but all the management were agents. And so he had broken down it into the sort of hierarchy of who does what, who reports into what. And it was unbelievable because he had like 3 screens open and he had, I don't know how many agents, must have been 60 agents all doing different things for him. And I was like, whoa. That is a whole corporation of
Yeah.
60 people with PhDs with no, not talking back, no sick leave, no, oh my God. That is
Yeah.
just fantastic and scary at the same time.
All
Yeah,
right.
here we
So
are.
that is the leadership one. There's another one
I
that I
like
want to
it.
share with you.
Yeah.
This is an article that I've been writing. And it's kind of a meta article in a way because it's thinking about the article. So I'm just going to read you pieces from it, and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
So I called it the iceberg problem. Any level of mastery has beneath the surface a great volume of repetitions that have been performed. People spend countless years perfecting their craft. This means that their mastery has a solid foundation. Their iceberg is big and stable. As onlookers, the work that they show us is the peak. Now, with the advent of AI, what we are seeing are peaks, but with nothing beneath the water. So I want to give you two examples of that. When we write, at the moment, we can go onto ChatGPT, give it a very basic idea, and have it flesh out an entire 500, 800 word article. And if someone then reads that, they might go, wow, like you're smart for coming up with this idea. But actually, there's no substance beneath the water. Like you've not done the writing to wrestle with the idea. You haven't fleshed it out for yourself. All you've done is you've relied on the foundation created by the LLM, by the AI, to create this peak above the water. Does that still make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
So what that means is that you don't actually embody the idea. You don't really own the idea. It hasn't changed how you think about the world through this filter.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only, it's thinking, but for show. Another example of this is vibe coding. So for those who don't know, vibe coding has now become a big thing where you have tools like Replit and Lovable and Bolt, where you can go onto this platform and you can tell it whatever website you want it to create, and it'll
Yeah.
code it for you. So you are coding through natural language. So
Yeah.
what I've seen is many keynote speakers get up on stage and they go, "Oh, look, I've vibe coded Airbnb." But I'm like, dude, you haven't vibe coded anything. Like what you've done is you've created an extremely basic version of what Airbnb might look like. But to get the entire thing working the way it's supposed to, like where you have the back end and the user management and the password management and the payment integrations, like you are far way away from that. You feel like you've done something. You feel like you've coded this thing, but actually you haven't. Like you've done the most basic version. And I know because I've been doing that. Like I've been building things with vibe coding. And the moment something breaks, I don't know what to do.
I have no
Like the
idea.
moment
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I go and deploy this? I don't know what to do. The moment I have to integrate other services, I don't know what to
Yeah. Yeah.
do. Why? Because
Yeah.
I can show you on a stage, I've built an Airbnb clone. I can show you the peak, but there's no substance. I don't have the foundation of having coded for many years. So I can't look at this thing and make those fine-tuned adjustments. And so what like this entire article, like the thing that I was trying to work towards is how do we interact with artificial intelligence? Like how do we make sure that we have a foundation and not just peaks? Because if you're only a peak, you'll get washed away with the current. If you're an author or a keynote speaker and you are only using artificial intelligence to produce peaks, then the moment you get on stage or into a panel discussion, you'll be exposed for it. And so we need to decide, how do we sequence our usage with AI? What do we outsource and what do we hold on to? And I think where I got to was, it's still a work in progress. So that I'm sharing with you while it's still under construction, essentially. But I wrote here, we must decide what we care about. When we care about something, we don't look for shortcuts in it. We look for ways of improving it. And so that might provide us with a great framework for approaching our collaboration with AI. Should it be done with efficiency or with care? The admin, the tedious, should be ruthlessly outsourced to every AI agent at your disposal. But the craft and the thinking, the things that you care about, should not. So, and where I end this was, Seinfeld was one of the biggest and most prolific shows on TV, one of the most successful shows on TV. And they asked Seinfeld, or Larry David, the guy who wrote Seinfeld, they said to him, couldn't you have done it in a more sustainable way? Because at the end of the day, the reason why they quit it was because they just got burnt out. So they said, couldn't you have done it in a more sustainable way? Couldn't McKinsey or someone have come in to help you? And he said, who's McKinsey? And they said, it's a consulting firm. And he said, are they funny? And they said, no. So he said, well, then I don't need them. If you're efficient, you're doing it the wrong way. The right way is the hard way. The show was successful because I micromanaged it. Every word, every line, every take, every edit, every casting, that was my way of life. And so it's a very long-winded way of saying that I think if we outsource the things that we care about, which is our craft and our thinking, then we are going to get into a position where we have peaks but no base, no substance. And I think that's a very dangerous place to get to. And even when I was writing this article, I felt it, I could have gone to ChatGPT and said, I have this idea about like peaks and bases and like this iceberg problem. Go write the thing for me. And it could have done that, and I could have published it, and it would have looked smart online, but I wouldn't have owned it. Like I wouldn't have struggled with this issue for myself. And I think in that way, I would have robbed myself of the opportunity to think about it, but I also would have presented something to my readers that hasn't been done with care. So I'm still struggling with this because, I see the value in AI being able to just pump out stuff for us. But I'm also weary of, it felt difficult for me to write this because I know AI could have done it in a few seconds. It took me a few days to get to where I am at the moment. I've said a lot.
I've got an analogy that might help. Yeah, I think it's a great, great question. And I think a question that many of us need to contend with and start to ask ourselves. It also sounds like it was an extension of your thinking when you introduced Richard Mulholland's book.
Yeah.
It sounds like an extension of that, right?
Yeah, very good. It's in the article as well, so good pick up.
Yeah. Shit, what was the example I was going to use? Oh, damn it! I forgot the example I was going to use. Yeah, man, I had to flip an example. It was on top of mind for me. Sorry about that. Look, I think the grappling question here for us is: are you following what makes you most excited? And when you're following what makes you most excited, it's not about output, it's about input towards your curiosity. That's kind of what it is. And so what happens to us is we often measure the wrong things. And when you think about social media, what somebody would say to me is, and I think you and I had this discussion actually, is, I made a video and it was only seen by 7 people. And so I lost motivation. And my response to that is change what you need out of one video and make your goal 50 videos. What all of a sudden happens is you shift why you're doing something, not just to get the views, but to get the consistency in your experience of creating the work, putting the content out there and doing the hard yards. You see your goal changes. So what you're talking about here is when somebody wants to get momentum out there in the world, they want to pump out as much information as possible. That is a goal. And, some people can benefit from that. But unfortunately, you'll ultimately get caught out eventually because that is ultimately going to happen to you when they see you in real life. Or it's like using a filter on yourself and you look so hot on Instagram. And then when they meet you in real life, you don't look like that. It's the same sort of scenario. You're going to get caught out eventually.
That's actually a very good analogy for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if your goal set is doing the hard work based on your curiosity and excitement, then you want to research it just because you want to research it, not about anything that you're putting out there. And I think what AI is going to do is force us to start asking these questions about what is it that I'm curious about? What is it that I do want to think about when I've got all of this accessible to me? And so I think within a short period of time, we'll weed out those people. And let's not kid. You and I already know who's using that. We already know when somebody's buying likes, posting things that don't sound like them, too many dashes inside their copy. I mean, you can see it. It's like it's more and more obvious as we become more and more. So I think the grappling is between, one, what is your goal set? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to pump out a lot of information out there into the world and look smart, then good for you. Go ahead and do it. But just know it's short-lived. Or if you're flipping curious about what you're up to and you're flipping focused on it, then your focus is pumping out 50 videos. And you want to be able to do the hard work for that. So yes, you can use filters. And look, I was at a birthday on Saturday, and there was obviously lots of girls at the birthday party, and they were all taking selfies, but they were using so many filters. And when they put the pictures up on Instagram, I'm like, these people don't look like this. These people have got baby faces on Instagram, and in real life, they don't have baby faces. And actually, it was off-putting. And that is what's going to happen with this as well, is that you initially are intrigued by the fact that you have no lines on your face and you look so like you've had plastic surgery. But then you come back around and you're like, no, that's actually not attractive, because you know what's been happening there. So I think the same thing will happen in this process. But I love your idea of waves and no basis and just the iceberg top. Yeah, I guess it's a very good way to think about it. I like the way you're thinking.
When I was studying for physio, we like part of what we used to do was we would go to different patients with our lecturers, so like a whole group of us with our lecturer, and then they would demonstrate treatment on the patient, and we'd learn through that. And I remember one day, it's one of the, there's a few moments that really stand out from my training days, and this is one of them. We went to a patient that just had a knee replacement, and he was sitting in his chair, and next to him was a nurse busy feeding him lunch. And we walked in, and the lecturer saw this, and she freaked out. She said, why are you feeding him? He had a knee replacement. His hands worked perfectly fine. And like literally the guy he was sitting there like this, and the nurse was feeding him, and he was just, and it was so funny actually, because there was literally nothing wrong with his hands. And he had all the coordination, like he could absolutely feed himself. And yet he was just sitting there. And the lecturer freaked out, and she said, we need to encourage our patients to be as independent as possible, as early as possible. When we help them, we actually fall into something called learned helplessness. So you drop a spoon on the floor, I pick it up for you instead of allowing you to struggle through it. I've robbed you of the opportunity to realize, oh, I'm independent enough to do this myself. So learned helplessness is that you learn to be helpless in a situation. And I think that AI does something similar in a way, where I run to AI first to help me solve a problem. It robs me of the opportunity to solve it for myself first, to do a bit of the hard thinking up front. And so over time, if I do that with enough repetition, I'm going to get into a situation where if I don't have AI, how am I going to, how do I solve this? And people go, oh, well, you could like think of the calculator. When the calculator came in, it took over a certain, we don't have to go and figure out certain math because we can go to a calculator. I don't think it's the same. It doesn't, I haven't been able to articulate it yet, but it doesn't feel like the same thing, because AI is so much more powerful. It has the ability to take over all of your thinking, not just like this one thing that I sometimes need. Like thinking is a thing that you need all the time, and you can't outsource your entire life and all of your issues to AI.
No.
So I'm still
but also
grapple with that a little bit.
but also what you're not taking into consideration, there's new types of creativity that'll be birthed. Now we're replacing yes, but we've also got to give it time for new creativity to be earthed. We're right in the beginnings of it. And so what we're doing is we're taking our existing thinking and outsourcing it to our ChatGPT. But over a period of time, we'll start to discover new ways of us adding value that we haven't discovered yet. Because like I've used in my example in my talks, if the Industrial Revolution arrived, all of us would still be plowing the land. Why wouldn't we be plowing the land if there wasn't a tractor? So initially you might call people using a tractor lazy because they're outsourcing their existing skills and what else is going to be. And then eventually new rules bring about new ways for us to start adding value. So I think in our current format, yes, there's a lot that can be replaced. But let's take into consideration how we're going to evolve. And we can't really tell what that evolvement's going to be. But of course we will. As humans, we always do. But I just want to ask you, does Danica also feed you, or do you actually feed yourself? What does that look like at dinner?
I think what we need is we need you to come and stay with us for a week so you can see that I'm not just lying on the bed being fed beautifully prepared food, playing paddle. I have my clothes laid out for me the night before.
Yes. Look, I'm just jealous, bro. I'm just jealous. I'm just trying to understand, how did you sort this out? I mean, I know you're good looking, but you're not that good looking. I mean, come on, bro. No, very good. Great pod.
Yeah,
Loved it. Thanks so much, Erik.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, listen, just as a closing note, we are coming closer and closer to the release of our new book. The
Exactly a month.
Expansive
We're a
book,
month away
yeah,
today.
yeah, the Expansive book will be available for purchase not too long from now, 30 days from now. And you'll be able to find it in any good bookstore. You'll be able to find it on Amazon. And if you are listening to this and you are inside of an organization and you want to organize a few hundred copies for your business, then please let us know. We have some amazing deals for our corporate partners. And in fact, the book was very specifically created for our corporate partners because we wanted to take the Expansive, which is now more than 9,500 minutes, 240 plus episodes of thinking about how to be more expansive in business, how to think in different ways as leaders, how to better prepare our teams for the future. And we condensed it into 52 reflections. So it's literally a book that you can use with your team as a reflection point every single week. And we also offer incredible customization options. So you can have the CEO write a foreword in the book. We customize the cover to have your logo on it. So if you are listening to this and you're inside of a business and you want to grab some copies, let us know. You can either email Erik@erikruger.com or hello@johnsanei.com to get in touch regarding those options. Anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for offering to record the Audible version of it just on your own, because I thought that was nice of you. Thank you so much for that. And once Erik gets his ass into gear and the Audible will be also available, I know we actually need to think about the Audible side. We haven't even thought about that, but we'll get there. We're just having a print copy right now.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep a lookout for that. Whether you want to buy one copy or 1,000 copies, there will be options available to you.
Very good.
And
Very
as
good.
always, thank you for joining in to the Expansive. We love having you along on this journey as we, as you can see, kind of grapple with where we are in this moment in time and trying to figure out what does it look like moving forward. And we are continuously thinking about these things and trying to find the latest research and applying our own insight into that. And we do that so we can also help you to be more expansive into this future. So make sure to tune in again next week, and we look forward to continuing this journey with you. Ciao.
Ciao.